breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression. It's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts. We're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
I hate this show. Oh my goodness.
All right. Welcome everybody to a live edition from the Libertarian National Convention in Grand Rapids. Thanks for coming out, everybody. This is going to be a fun one. Came all the way from Florida to do this, so I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having us. And let's just jump right into it and introduce everybody. First up, you know her from her presidential run, Jo Jorgensen. She's the author of Let Me Speak. You can get that on Amazon, and she's on X at Jo for Liberty. How are you tonight, Jo?
Oh, doing great. And I'm going to be at a table out there with my books too.
Ooh, you can get her books at the table. Will you autograph them?
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right, so if you want that, you know where to go. All right. Thanks for being here, Jo. Second up, you know him from his recent presidential run, Chase Oliver. He was our 2024 LP presidential candidate. He does the Chase Oliver Show, and you can find him on X at Chase for Liberty. How are you tonight, Chase?
Doing all right. Just having a great time out here in Grand Rapids. How's everybody doing?
Thanks for doing this, buddy. Also back on the show, our buddy Lars Mapstead. He is a candidate, a Libertarian candidate for U.S. House of Representatives in California's 19th district. He ran for president in 2024. You can find his website, lars24.com. He's also doing the Voting Rights Foundation, which is votingrights.com. Also, ballotswithoutbarriers.com. And on X, he's at Libertarian. Lars, how are you tonight, Lars?
I'm doing great. We have 3 presidents and a cowboy up here tonight, so we're doing good.
Yeah, you guys.
Just real quick. So yeah, Ballots Without Barriers is one of the things that I'm here at the convention pushing, which is to create free market in American politics, so that because competition breeds excellence, and if people don't feel represented and they don't feel heard, violence is often the solution, and I don't want to see America break out in violence. So my organization is to basically stop political violence. You can check it out, ballotswithoutbarriers.com.
Awesome. And last but not least, new to the show, Ammon Bundy. He is the host of the Ammon Bundy podcast on YouTube at Real Ammon Bundy, and his website is peoplesrights.gs, and on X, he's at Real Ammon Bundy. How are you tonight, Ammon?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Excited. This is the first time, so hopefully I perform well for you.
I think, you know, this being a libertarian crowd, I think we've all seen how you do under extreme pressure. So I'm not really worried about you. Not really worried about you.
All right.
Well, this is my first time too, you know.
That's true. That is true.
2 virgins.
Excellent. Yeah. 2 first-timers and 2 multiple-time champions. So this will be an interesting showdown here. So let's jump into it here. Welcome again to Are You Smarter Than a Politician? And thank you again to the Libertarian Party for having us here. I see Paul Dar down there. I don't know if Stephen Nikala's out there. Pat Ford. You guys have all been so nice to us. We have had such a blast here, and you guys have done, I just want to give a shout out to Steve and Paul as their terms end. I think you guys have done a phenomenal job, and I don't even know if you know this, but I think you went into a tough situation a little bit. So, you know, again, under pressure and an extremely great job. So wanted to give you guys a shout out. Thanks for having us. Yeah, there we go. Please share this out and help bust the algorithm, as Casey likes to say. You can find me on X. I'm at Smarter Game Show. Our lovely producer, Terry Batts, is Batts T76. And helping behind the scenes, the lovely Amity Dolby over there, Amity Lee 13. And also somewhere around here, oh, right over there, the great Casey Rasmussen. He's at American versus Gov, and he does a very aptly named podcast called They Both Suck about politics. So thank you, Casey. And if you want our gear, it's on freedomsuperstore.com. We have shirts and mugs. You could get the Make Anarchy Great Again shirt or the My Other Car is a Killdozer. And on YouTube, we are at Freedom Uncut, same name on Rumble. All right, so the fake prizes for the show are as follows. Since Trump ruined peace prizes, we made our own. It's called the Are You Smarter Than a Peace Prize, and it is our grand fake prize for tonight. Also on the prize shelf, we have Mike Johnson's signature cologne, Swamp Ass, as well as the Ayn Rand Fountainhead teddy bear. We also have the home edition of Are You Smarter Than a Politician if you want to annoy your friends and neighbors. We have an assortment of Libertarian bobbleheads, including the great Justin Amash, who was up here earlier tonight. Yeah, let's hear it for Justin. He was also on the show. He beat Spike Cohen on our show, one of the greatest showdowns of all time. And also on the prize shelf, if you have a mental midget you need to give a bath to, we have the Strait of Hormuz bath set. We also have the new game, Neoconopoly, if you want to teach your kids about global dominance and stealing resources from poor countries. Also, if you want to destroy your own dollar at home and you don't want to use the central banks to do it, we have the Dollar Destroyer. And of course, we have the Trump Nativity set. We've had this piece of crap up here since November, but nobody will take it. So it is on here. We paid a tariff to get it from China, and so it's still here. And of course, we got the Lego Killdozer because nobody talks about the Killdozer more than me and Casey do. Here's how scoring works. You, the chat, can control the score. So you even in live attendance here, if you go into YouTube or X, jump into the live chat, you can give or take away points. And we have a bunch of subscribers that are very nice to us. Subscribers can give or take up to 200 points because they pay me, so they matter more, okay? All right, lightning round, here we go. All right, first question is gonna be to Joe. Category is who really runs America? Joe, do unelected bureaucrats now hold more power than Congress?
Yes. Next question.
You can expand on it if you'd like.
Most of the people up there haven't been elected, and everybody knows it. And they're hard to get rid of, as Trump found out. He said he was going to get rid of them. And I do think he thought he was going to until he found out that they were more powerful than even he was.
Very true. Excellent answer. Thank you. All right, Chase, to you. Do major corporations now shape public policy more than citizens do?
Oh, yeah. I think if you look at the money that's involved in politics and you look at where it's coming from, the people who are elected to supposedly represent us are really representing really powerful corporate interests. They don't really care about the average American's individual liberty so much as how quickly can they fill up the coffers of their next campaign. And so absolutely the outsized influence these corporations have over the individual. The Congress is bought and paid for. What's the old joke? They should wear the NASCAR patches.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, thank you. All right, next question is to Lars. New category, gun rights and the Second Amendment. Should concealed/open carry be legal in all 50 states without a permit?
Oh, hells yes. There should be no infringement on your Second Amendment. There's just absolutely nothing for that. And, I often get like, well, Lars, should I be able to own a bazooka? And I'm like, yeah, because my friends, if they owned a bazooka, they wouldn't use it on anybody. And so, you know, the people that use firearms in a negative way are never affected by gun laws. Only the real citizens are affected, and so we should have no gun laws at all except for the Second Amendment.
I agree. Excellent. All right, Ammon, to you. Is any form of gun registration a violation of the Second Amendment?
Absolutely. And more than that, it's a violation of our fundamental right to defend ourselves. If we don't have the equipment to defend ourselves, then it's not really defense at all. And that's where the Second Amendment comes from. It's not necessarily something that was just made up. It's actually an unalienable right or a fundamental right that we have to defend ourselves.
Absolutely true. Thank you. All right. Back to you, Joe. Category is outsiders versus insiders. Are outsiders better equipped to challenge corruption?
I think we're seeing that right now. People are finally getting fed up. And when I ran in 96, the people were a lot different than they were now. I would talk to them about education. And do you really want a monopoly in your school system that you have no choice? And everybody was like, oh, but we like our school. Everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, when there's COVID and teachers refuse to come in and other things going on at schools that people don't like, now we see school board meetings making it on the news, and people are really finally challenging it. And they're asking the same questions that we've been asking for decades.
For sure. All right, Chase, to you. Have political insiders become too dependent on the system to fix it?
Yeah, asking the political insiders to fix the system is really like asking somebody who is like the most like the person who is most benefiting, the person who's getting the most joy out of it. It's like, you know, it's like asking a sex addict to just stop having sex, right? They're not going to do that just on their own. They're having too much of a good time, right? So for me, yeah, absolutely. These insiders, they benefit so much and they're not going to fix anything because they've already fixed it for themselves. There's nothing for them to fix because they already see it as something that's fixed. They get all the money, and that's exactly what they're happy with. And meanwhile, we all get screwed.
The fix is in.
Yep, that's it.
True story. All right, Lars, to you. The category is policing, justice, and crime. Should qualified immunity be ended for all public officials and the police?
Oh, hells yes. We need to get rid of qualified immunity. It just basically protects the bad actors. It protects the bad cops, so to speak. And if you're acting with integrity and principles, then you should not have any fear about having, you know, qualified immunity taken away. And you know, perhaps those officers should buy bonds in case they do something, and basically use the free market to basically protect if they do a bad action, instead of being, you know, a get out of jail free card from the government.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely true. All right, Ammon, to you. Should SWAT raids be illegal for non-violent offenses? I don't know if you know this, but I write the question specifically for you.
Let me think about this for a little bit.
You know, search your memory banks and see what you
Yeah,
think.
let me think about this just a little bit. Should they be illegal? Absolutely, they should be illegal. I don't think that officers or anybody in the government should act any different from any of the rest of us. I don't believe they should have any power or authority that is any different than the rest of us. And I can't just kick down your door and raid you, take your property, drag you off to jail, unless you have somehow harmed me. And I think the same thing should be for all officers across the government, all agents.
I've seen you in action, and I feel like if you wanted my sequin jacket, you could take it from me.
I would never steal from you or anybody else.
Yeah,
certainly not that jacket.
You'd never commit this fashion crime, is what
Now,
you're
I
saying.
might wear it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd fit me, but I might wear it. But I wouldn't steal it.
All right, thank you. All right, Joe, to you. Category is the collapse of party loyalty. Are more Americans politically homeless than ever before?
Yes, and it's funny that you asked me that, because I'm going to be talking about this in my speech on Monday morning, in which the right and, you know, we've traditionally had the right and left, and it's been divided by economics. And well, I guess I don't want to give away too much of my speech, but let's just say that I think there's a realignment going on not only in America, but actually around the world.
Absolutely.
Sneak preview.
Yeah, we got a little sneak peek there.
Tune
There we
in
go.
Monday.
Breaking news. There we go. All right, Chase, to you. Have both major parties drifted away from their original values?
Well, of course, and it depends on how far you go back. You know, the party of Lincoln was the party that freed the slaves, that kind of thing, the party of Reconstruction. But if you really want to just get in like modern history, like let's look since I was an adult and exactly how far the Republican and Democratic parties have strayed away. The first presidential candidate when I was an adult was a guy who claimed he wanted to be a compassionate conservative and that we were going to leave the world alone and we weren't going to do any nation building. And then by the time we got around to the next election, we were nation building, we were at war around the world, and we forgot about being compassionate conservatives. And the Democrats, you know, they were all about being the party of the working class man, the party to get the little guy a heads up. And then it seems like they've become the party of the elite technocratic class, these white collar folks, completely forgotten the blue collar roots that made the Democratic Party an actual force in politics that people wanted to at all be a part of. And you can even look at the own Democrats and their approval ratings. 70% disapproval of the Democrats right now. So even the Democrats don't like the Democrats anymore. And the Republicans, well, look at them now. What does this look at all recognizable to the Republican Party of our childhood, what we're seeing today? So absolutely, they strayed about as far away from their original values as you can. If we were to do the same thing in the Libertarian Party, it would be like if we were like, taxation isn't theft anymore. No, we're fine. That's how far away they've drifted.
Yeah. I always jokingly say when they say 70% disapproval, I'm always like, and the other 30% couldn't hear you over cable news. That's the only reasonable explanation right there. All right. Lars, to you. Categories election reform and politics. Should ballot access be equal for all parties?
Yeah, I mean that's what Ballots Without Barriers is working on, and you know, it's really crazy traveling around the country. I went to 36 states in 6 months with Chase, and we debated and did. But what we learned was that every state has a very corrupt ways of keeping any competition out. Both parties collude together in suppressing anyone else from having a voice, right? And that suppression is leading to people feeling like they're not heard and they're not represented. And that is why you're seeing more and more outbursts of violence in America, is because the parties have stifled competition, and we need to bring that back and make things equal again.
Totally agree. And I appreciate the work you're doing on it. It's amazing work. All right, Ammon, to you. Hit the wrong button. That was for you, Casey, wherever you are. I hit the wrong button. All right, Ammon, are politicians more responsive to donors than voters?
I would definitely have to say to donors. I think that it's pretty obvious that they treat their donors and really ignore the voters. We've seen that many times. We see that, you know, if you can buy more votes for donors, then that's how they do it. And it's also the voters' fault though too, because so many voters in whatever party they're voting in do not even know who they're voting for. They don't understand really what their platform is. And so I point a lot of the problem to the voter as well. But as far as politicians, absolutely, they're more beholden to the donor than they are to the voter.
And that's why right now I am not taking any donations for my Congress run.
Good for you.
Very cool. All right. We are at our first score break here. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Share this back out if you're having a good time. There is a lot going on in the chat. I think there was some pent up energy from what went on today. I feel like people want to be heard. Point of order, I think, kind of is what you call it. All right. I hit the wrong button there. There we go. All right. My buddy Ray's out there. Let's go. $200 contestants, but then minus 200 to me, of course. So thanks for that, Ray. The great Ryan Woodcraft is here of the historic El Paso victory. He says, let's go. What a phenomenal panel of guests tonight. 200 to all. Jim's here. What's up? 50 to Joe for the longest hair. Is it longer than Lars?
And it's all mine, no extensions.
Yeah. And are you saying Lars is his extensions? Is that what you just implied? Okay. 200 to Ammon for being the only non-politician on the stage. Yeah, you should give points for that. 100 for ballots without barriers. Papa B's here. What's up, buddy? 100 to Lars. Ballots without barriers, and the system is rigged. What's up, Liberty Shamrocker? Scientific Libertarians here. He should be in the room, but he is not, so he should lose points. But he says that shirt could make solar panels a stable power source. That's true. It's a blazer. It's a blazer, or maybe a smoking jacket. I don't even know the terms. 200 to Joe, my first Libertarian vote. 50 to Free if he can wave his magic wand and make Casey disappear. No, I don't have that kind of magic. 100 to Joe and Bundy for taking Free to prom. Yeah, I do look like I'm going to some whack prom or something. I'll give you that one, Scientific. That was a good one. All right, 200 to Chase for being my last Libertarian vote. 200 to Free for the tie and jacket. Eat your heart out, Liberace. Yeah, that's fair. What's up, Chris? Libertarian Party's in the chat. Excellent. 200 to Joe on the yes next question. There we go. That was good. 200 to Chase for not caring about is the word, whatever it is. 100 to Joe for understanding the lightning round rules. Very un-Larry Sharp of her. I told you there was going to be a Larry Sharp mention. That was in my pre-show briefing for the contestants.
I think he was in on the instructions, the pre-game instructions.
Yeah. I have a picture of Larry in the instructions now. 200 to Chase for money over constituents. Oh, and I should say, if I'm going to make Larry Sharp jokes, Larry's running for governor in New York. Donate to him. He needs all the help he can get, and he's making traction over there, so give him money. 200 times 10 to Casey for working his IT magic so we can all enjoy this chaos. You're 1 in a million, brother. Well, I mean, you're assuming people are enjoying it, but I appreciate the other sentiments. But Jonathan Miller's in the house. He's running for NC Senate. What's up, brother? 100 to Lars for all the hells, yes. TJ's here. What's up? 100 for bazooka to Lars. That's fair. 200 to Lars for wanting me to own a bazooka. 100 to Lars. It would have been 200, but dragging the answer. 100 to Lars for wanting people to own bazookas. 100 to Ammon for fundamental rights. Ammon understood the assignment, 2A all the way. 100 to Lars for criminals ignore gun laws. 100 to Bundy for the best hat. That's true. It is the best hat on the stage.
It's functionally the best hat on stage.
Yeah. 200 to Joe for challenging things. 100 to Ammon for being a guy who exercised his 2A rights under pressure. True story. 100 to Joe for staying hydrated. Lars, 200 on the hells yes and the qualified immunity. 100 to Chase, the fix is on. Well, that's my buddy Travis. He's got a great show. Follow him too. The great Joe Hanush is here. 100 to Lars for ending qualified immunity.
That's my region rep.
Joe does a ton for candidates. He's a great guy. Follow him for sure. 200 to Adam for the SWAT answer Bundy weekend. Is that what it is? I don't know what it is. Terry, stop putting the ones I can't read. That would be helpful to me. 200 to Ammon if he wears the jacket. 100 to Joe. 100 for SWAT denier Bundy. I like that. Brad's in the room. What's up? The energy is so electric in here. Excellent. 200 and Brent Freeman is here from the Aiming Up podcast, friend of mine. What's up, you beautiful weirdos? Been listening on the new Android X app, but it wouldn't let me comment. 100 to Chase for throwing shade at my jacket. That's fair. 100 to Joe for the preview. 200 to Chase for saying Freeze jacket's too flashy even for him. That's a true story. 100 to Chase and Bundy for not stealing the jacket. It's a prom store rental. It needs to be returned by Tuesday. 100 to Joe for politically homeless. 100 to Ammon for being cool. 100 to Joe for political homelessness, being a real thing. What's up, Kat? Well said, Chase. And that's all I'm going to do. That was a lot of stuff. So, all right, let's check the scoreboard here. I get bored reading them and I just stop. So that's where we're at. Oh, it's really close. This is excellent. All right, let's check the scoreboard. Lars in the lead, 2150. Ammon right behind, 2100. Chase just a few points behind that, and Joe's right there too.
Nice.
Excellent. Let's jump back into it here. Joe, back to you. Category is corporate government. Do corporations benefit from regulations that hurt small businesses?
Oh, absolutely. One of the best books I read when I first started running for office was The Fair Trade Fraud in the early 90s. And I think it was in that book where he told the case of a law that was passed, something about ice cream, and it only applied to one company in the entire country. So Congress voted on a law for one company. That just goes beyond anything that even tries to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely true. All right, Chase, to you. Has corporate lobbying corrupted free markets?
Well, yes, I would say it has, because what you're seeing is when you get corporate lobbyists, you're getting them to carve out the little nooks and crannies of the law that allows these big corporations to benefit over the little guy. And how can a small business ever become a medium-sized business, much less a large business that can compete with these huge super firms around the country? And a lot of these firms, while we buy their products and use their products, they're not really benefiting us as much as we would think. And it's what allows people to be able to put poisons into our food and without telling us what's going on. It's what allows us to not have the knowledge as consumers in the free marketplace. It's because these corporate regulations, through lobbying, basically screw us over. And it's something as a libertarian, I want real free markets, not a cronyist capitalist free market. And I'm a capitalist, but what we have right now is not true capitalism. It's BS, marketed, manipulated, and lobbied capitalism that screws over each and every small business, which, if you're not remembering, is the actual engine of our economy, not giant corporate firms.
All right. Excellent. Joe just got 100 points for making scientific subliminally want ice cream. So, yeah, so that was good. All right. Lars, to you. This category is sponsored by Zano, and I will be doing my read for them in a minute. The category is financial autonomy. Is cryptocurrency becoming a political issue instead of just a financial one?
Well, you know, we've had a lot of lobbying and a lot of regulations trying to get crypto more mainstream. And in doing that, they've taken away some of the decentralized part of what makes cryptocurrency great. And also, with the government adopting rules and regulations around crypto, that brings us closer and closer to a centralized digital currency, which we should all be greatly against.
Absolutely true. All right, Ammon, to you. Should Americans have the right to fully control their own money?
Yes. They should have the right to fully control their own money, because if not, then they're slaves. We have a right to make that money, to produce it, produce that wealth. And who else should have authority over that? Nobody. I don't believe that anybody. I think that all transactions should be willing buyer, willing seller, and they should be nobody in between trying to make money off it or regulate it. If you have a willing buyer, a willing seller between two adults, everybody else stay out of it.
And the Fed.
And the Fed. Amen to that. All right. Yeah. All right. And then real quick, Zano is here in attendance. Their booth is right out over there. If you haven't met them, they're a big sponsor of the convention. We really appreciate them being here. They're also a sponsor of my show, so I like them even better. And so Zano, your privacy matters. Choose Zano, the leading blockchain platform that prioritizes confidentiality and security. And if you're new to the space, you can visit intro.zano.org to learn more. It's really a great resource. And if you're here in person with us, they are going to have some workshops where you get free Zano, which is cool. Get Zano, that's cool. And then learn how to, use a digital wallet and all of this stuff. And so if you're new to it, this is a perfect time to sit down. They'll walk you through it. You get some Zano for free, which is cool. And those will be, I believe, at 11 and 3 tomorrow. So check that out. But if you want information, their booth is right over there. And check them out and tell them I sent you over there. They're really cool guys. You'll enjoy talking to them. And our buddy Aaron Day is right next to him as well. And he's super cool. You guys heard him talk yesterday. So definitely visit over there. So appreciate them sponsoring the show. All right. Joe, back to you. The category is drug decriminalization. And this category is brought to us by, is Avins here? Our friend Avins O'Brien, her company, Zoom Beyond Shrooms. Their website is zoomtrip.com, XUMTRIP.com. And she did the solid of sliding you some Zoom in your welcome bags, your little goodie bags. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good time to take it now, but it's also not a bad time to take it now, but it's a lot of fun. So check that out. And thank you to Ammon. All right, Joe, the category is drug decriminalization. Has the war on drugs failed, Joe?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Very successful for the government because that means they get to pick up whoever they want. If there's somebody they don't like, if there's somebody who doesn't vote for them, if there's somebody who just, looks at them wrong, well, they can pick them up. Pretty much everybody breaks one law every day. In 96, when I ran for VP, somebody told me that there was an OSHA law that they had to keep their floor dry behind the counter, but then there was also a health safety law that they had to wash behind the counter every day. So it didn't matter which law, and drugs would follow that. And I think when libertarians talk about drugs, we need to talk about it in terms of how the drug war is hurting people.
Totally agree. All right. Chase, to you. Has mass incarceration done more harm than good?
Absolutely. What we have in this country, we call ourselves the land of the free, and we incarcerate more people per capita than any other nation on earth. We incarcerate more people than Saudi Arabia or Iran or China or North Korea or any of these other brutal authoritarian dictatorships that we see on the TV shows being the big bad guys all around the world. Now, one of the things that we talk about a lot is the influence of private prisons into mass incarceration. It's something that I've seen because it creates a profit incentive to put people in jail and hold them in jail longer than they need to. In my state of Georgia, we have the largest probation timeline that exists in the country. And what it does is it keeps people in this revolving door of getting in and out of jail, re-traumatized. And much of this is done by the drug war that you just mentioned earlier. And shout out to Ammon. I may or may not be Zooming right now. You'll never know. But the truth is mass incarceration really enslaves huge swaths of our population, and it's usually those who don't have the financial means to fight back against an abusive, intrusive government.
Definitely. All right, Lars, to you. The category is federal power creep. Is centralized decision-making necessary in 2026?
We could basically end the federal government. Yeah.
Amen.
Really, there's only one real thing that I think, and even that could be done by states, which is national defense for defending our country only, no nation building. Other than that, just get rid of it and let the states work it out, because the closer government is to the people, the more ability the people have to affect change when the government is being authoritarian and gross, which it always is.
Based Lars.
True story. Excellent. All right. Ammon, to you. Should more authority return to states and local communities?
Yes. That's where it starts from, the people, supposedly, right? We're supposed to give our consent. But somehow we've got this federal government that's actually now acting in every way like local government, or at least trying to take the place of it. And just something that, great examples with my family. If we oppose federal officers coming in and doing whatever they want to do with our backyard, we can't change that. We can't change that by a vote. We can't change it by a complaint. We can't do anything. And if they point guns at us, the only thing we could do is just point guns back at them. There's not a whole lot we can do. We can't affect a vote in Washington, D.C. On land or water access or cattle grazing, whatever it is in Nevada. It's just impractical. So absolutely. It's supposed to be the local people controlling the local area and the local people giving consent to a local government.
Totally agree. All right, Joe, back to you. The category is bureaucracy without accountability. Do federal agencies have too much unchecked power?
Yes. Can I say next question again? This is really a repeat of the earlier question, in that we've got so many unelected bureaucrats that are making decisions for us. And let me touch on, since we're talking about the federal government, when I ran for office, everybody was talking about defunding the police at the time. And pretty much that was one of the big issues in 2020. And pretty much every journalist asked me, well, do you think we should defund the police? And I would say, not going to give my opinion. That's up to the mayor. It's up to the local citizens, up to city council, county council, the police. It's up to the local issue. And they're like, okay, well, yeah, but if you were running for that, and I'd say, nope, not going to answer it. Because I thought it was as important for somebody running for federal office, a libertarian running for federal office, to explain that the federal government should not get into state and local office. So I would not give them an answer. And they were very frustrated with me. But now they know, hopefully, that libertarians want to get their hands off of state and local.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Chase, to you. Are agencies creating rules Congress never approved?
Yeah, it's kind of what the entire executive branch does nowadays. They just come up with something out of thin air, and they determine that because President so-and-so and Secretary so-and-so nominated this little government paper pushing position that they can now control your lives. I used to talk about the need for local government in this way. If you're a parent, you love your kids. You want to take care of your kids and you want to see them succeed. But that bureaucrat in your state house or in DC, they don't see that child. They don't have unconditional love. They see your kid as a number on a spreadsheet to be moved around in an Excel file to make the numbers work for their formulation. It takes all of the emotion, all of the care out of educating our kids, taking care of our kids. And this is why we should take that parenting away from the power of the government and return it to the power of parents, because those are the people who have true unconditional love. The same can be said for anything else around the government. Do you care about your property more than the government? You bet your ass you do. Do you care about, your life more than the government? You bet your ass you do. And so why should we be giving these unelected bureaucrats the power without any congressional authority whatsoever to control our lives through pushing those levers and making you just be a number on their stupid effing spreadsheet?
True story. All right, Lars, to you. Category is fear politics. Does fear drive too much public policy?
I mean, that's the whole root of the two-party system right now. Is they don't politic on solutions because they have none. So the only thing that they can politic on is fear. And I wanted to double down on what Chase was talking about. We should end and repeal all executive orders that have ever been made. And if they are important, Congress can do their damn job and enact whatever laws that they think are necessary to keep the country running.
Amen to that. All right, Ammon, to you. Do crises give government too much power?
Yeah, I think we have a really good example of that during COVID. And in reality, the answer is no, because the crisis doesn't give them too much power, but they take it. They take it. So, and they have the justification because the people basically allow it to happen. Example real quick, and I'm not going to tell a story because you said not a story, but it's a little bit of a story. But
no, you can tell a story. You got carte blanche with
I had a friend who was on a school board, and they were debating whether they're going to force the children to wear masks. And of course, I was absolutely opposed to that. And after they voted that they would have to wear masks, I gave him a hard time, and he told me, "But Ammon, you have no idea how afraid these people are." And he made his decision on how afraid people were of the possibility of getting COVID. And so absolutely, they use crisis to push things down our throat.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say the questions aren't dumb, the government's dumb. They only give me this much to work with. So
Do you mind if I add real quickly to what you were saying?
please.
What was awful, and it was really something watching the Chicago public school teachers with all their dancing and flying down to the Bahamas, but all of these teachers who said it is too dangerous to teach students in class. Oh, they're going to the grocery store. I mean, of course, no problem talking to the checkout cashier. It's just the students who they might catch COVID from or give it to.
Yeah.
And if the government wasn't spreading fear, then the people wouldn't be afraid.
True story. Absolutely.
Yes to all of that.
All right. That was Ammon first. That was Ammon, right? Yeah. So back to you, Joe. Category is food, agriculture, and health. Should farmers be free to sell directly to consumers, including raw milk, without FDA or USDA regulation?
Of course, they should be able to sell anything they like, as long as it doesn't, as long as nobody's required to buy it and it's a completely free transaction. And, you know, some people say, you know, I kind of like it when the government requires that you put the nutrition labeling on. You know, I want to know what the nutrients are. I want to know the percentages. But then if you ask them, okay, if this person over here sells food to this person over here without the labels, do you think they should go to jail? And then it's like, oh, well, no, of course not. So you have to look at it the correct way.
Absolutely. All right, I screwed up my order somehow, so I'm going to skip around. This question I know I wrote. You'll know why. I wrote this one for you, Ammon. So your question is, should federal agencies be banned from raiding local farms?
Are you sure that's not mine?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one. I don't know how I'm ever going to answer that.
Put yourself in the place of someone that may have happened to at some point.
Well, you know, I don't know how to stop them, but we sure did our best at the Bundy Ranch. So, you know, the real problem here is that the federal government is claiming control over 89% of Nevada. That means that Nevada basically is 11% of the base of land base of Nevada. And when you give a bureaucracy 3,000 miles away that much power, and then you don't comply to their regulations, guess what they do? They come and point guns at you. They build a military type base and send 213 armed federal agents to point guns at you and say, well, if you don't comply with us, we're going to kill you. And again, just to finish up, I obviously say no, but I'm just grateful for the American people to respond, because that situation would have been another Ruby Ridge or Waco.
Amen. Absolutely. Points to me for realizing that was your question. That was pretty sophisticated game show work right there.
I would have been really mad if you gave that question to somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know anything about farm
That
raiding.
would have been
you know what I'm
Chase, and Chase would have been like, "What the hell?" Like,
I'm very rural, man.
all right, Chase. The question to you category is the future of Social Security. Will politicians ever seriously reform entitlement spending?
Not unless we elect libertarian politicians, that's for sure. You know, I was the only candidate in my race, and I'm pretty sure Joe was the only candidate in her race that actually had a plan for addressing Social Security, for actually removing ourselves from this broken Ponzi scheme entitlement program that ostensibly is supposed to help, you know, people retire. And what it's really become is a system that takes from you and you don't get back nearly as much as taken from you. And ultimately, you can, you know, invest your money way better in the private marketplace. And so I've always been an advocate of instead taxing people for their Social Security, make that money tax-free to invest into financial markets as much as possible so they can invest for themselves. And you'll get a far better return just dropping your money in the Dow than you would waiting for the government to bail you out.
Absolutely. All right, Lars, to you. Is the retirement system unfair to younger generations?
Absolutely. So, you know, one of the arguments is people say, well, that's my money in the Social Security. I put money in all my life, and so that's my money. I need to make sure I get my money out. And I inform them, sadly, that their money is gone. There is only $1.8 trillion left in the Social Security fund, which is enough to fund the retirement payments for under 2 years. So if we stop stealing money from the young people through payroll taxes, which we should abolish, if we stop that, then the people who are currently on Social Security run out of money in 2 years. So we are basically running a Ponzi scheme. We are creating wage slaves to rob people. And the big issue here is we have the baby boomers retiring. And so we have a lot more people retiring and collecting Social Security than workers that are coming in. And so this thing is going to collapse. And, you know, the government is going to wait till the last minute because they absolutely have no plan on how to solve this.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. So I did it out of order, but we got to the score break. So let's pretend it was orderly and everything like that. Enter your scores in the chat. Please share it out again. if you don't mind and you're having a good time. The chat's fire. This is a lot of fun. 200 Joe, lawfare sucks. 100 Joe, that's all federal regulations are for. Consolidation. 200 to Chase, big companies cutting corners. 100 to Joe for giving me another book to read. You could have lost points for that. Let's be honest. You could have lost points for that. 200 to Chase for real free markets. That's a great Paul Dar over there. 100 to Chase for calling out corporate cronyism. 100 to Lars for crypto. Points to Lars. Points to Ammon for free trade. Points to Lars for end the Fed. Points to Zano for sponsoring the show. True story. Thank you, Troop 6. Heartland News is here too. Points to Joe because the war on drugs has absolutely failed. Points to Joe for who are we asking for answers. Points to Joe for understanding the real winner of the war on drugs was the government. That's absolutely true. Points to Chase for eating the most gummies before this show.
100% true.
but not before. Now we won't even go there. We won't even go there. All right. Points to Joe because she understands that drugs are used by the government to control people. Points for land of the free, but home of the jail. Points to Chase. Police state is profit driven and ruins lives. Points to Joe. They didn't win or lose the war on drugs. It's exactly as the CIA cartels made it. Points to Chase for being on Zoom. This is working out well for you, Chase. This is all good.
Look at Ammon smiling.
Points to Bundy for the coziest looking jacket. That is a cozy looking jacket. I'll give you that. Points to Chase for his slick gummy gate insinuation. Points to Lars for wanting to end the federal government. Yeah, I'm in favor of that too. What's up, Cheryl? Points to Chase for possibly zooming. Points to Lars, the authoritarian government is gross. Points to Lars, keep the Navy and a few courthouses. Points to Lars, bring them all home and stay here. Points to Ammon for the federal government trying to be local. Points to Ammon for local people giving consent to the local government. Points to Joe, that's completely a community choice. Points to Joe, understanding the separation of the federal government and the local government. Points to Joe for not getting the federal government involved in state and local politics. Points to Joe, police yourself. Points to Chase for agencies making rules, laws. Points to Joe for clarifying Fed needs to stay out of state and local. Points to Chase, return the power to the parents. Points to Chase for hating spreadsheets. Was that what you said?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he actually used the term effers when he talked about the Excel sheet.
Yes, I hate spreadsheets.
Points to Chase, agencies shouldn't make the rules. Points to Lars for ending all executive orders. Points to Chase, keep the government out of parenting. Points to Lars for telling Congress to do their jobs. Points to Lars suggesting them end. Points to Lars for Congress doing their jobs. Points to Ammon for it doesn't give power, they take it. Points for Ammon for emergency powers. You got like 1 million points here. You're doing really good, Ammon. So these are all you. Emergency powers and folks letting them do it, wanting to keep the masks off of kids, telling a story that everybody resonated with. Points to Joe, everyone on the panel's right. Points to Joe for based, agorist take. Points to Lars for pointing out the source of fear. And I'm jumping to the scoreboard because I'm sick of reading stuff. So here we go. Yeah, I told you. You were doing really good, Ammon. I was very, very on with that. So you've got 5,600.
Whoa.
5,450. Joe, 50-50. And I think this is the first time Chase has ever been chasing.
I got to catch up.
Chasing the top. Yeah. I don't think you've.
Maybe I shouldn't have taken the Zoom.
Yeah.
Go take his jacket, his blazer.
It's too late now, brother. It's too late now. Yeah.
To you and
Exactly.
600,000 other people.
That's the great Ovens O'Brien that I was trying to find earlier. She's right there. Zoomtrip.com, XUMTRIP.com. It's a good time. So, all right.
That's a good time.
Awesome. All right. Next up, back to you, Joe. Category is housing and cost of living. Should local governments reduce barriers to home building?
This sounds like a Republican framed question. It's not that government should reduce barriers, it's that they should get out of it because they're the ones putting in the barriers. If they didn't put the barriers in there to begin with, we wouldn't have barriers to get rid of.
I'm not a Republican. I told you I voted for you twice. I'm like so libertarian, it's crazy. But no, I'll accept it. I'll accept it though. Chase, to you. Have younger Americans been priced out of independence and stability?
Yes, and it has a lot has to do with the Fed and the manipulation of our currency, the inflation that each of us are going through, and the fact that our money just doesn't go as far as it used to. I mean, I don't know if Donald Trump or Kamala Harris have ever gone to the grocery store, but when I go, I see the fact that less and less is filling up the cart. And I can only imagine how my nephew, who just graduated high school, he's going to college this fall. I can only imagine how hard it's going to be for him to get along when he gets out in the world and is making his way and starting his life out. You know, it was hard enough for my generation. The millennials got screwed really bad. And boy, is Gen Z right there about to get really screwed by the Fed, our monetary policy, and the fact that our dollar is not even worth the toilet paper to wipe your ass with these days. And that, for me, is it's a damn shame, because I want to see our kids doing better. I want to see the next generation flourishing. And unfortunately, it looks like, you know, the next generation is going to be the first one that does substantially worse than their parents because of this monetary policy.
Awesome. And Chase, by the way, Avins gave you 200 points for Zoom. So that was cool. Yeah. Oh, now she's throwing them more on stage. The show's about to get real fun. Real fun. Real fun. All right.
That's for later.
Awesome. Lars, to you. Category is surveillance and control. Are Americans being tracked more than they realize?
The government needs to flock off.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, it's literally everywhere. I talked to a police officer about, they were tracking down a guy, and you know, the amount of ways in which the surveillance state can track you, know where you're going. You can turn off your phone for like a whole day, and then the second you turn it back on, it fires up everywhere you went that day, every place that you checked in at. They get all this information. They don't need warrants for it. They just get it. And so they're surveilling you all the time. And you literally have to go out of your way to get away from the surveillance state. And they rely on that friction, because most people don't want to take all that effort to avoid the surveillance state. So it's a de facto opt-in to this gross intrusion into your personal sovereignty.
Absolutely. I like that. Flock off. Very well said.
That needs to be on a t-shirt.
All right. All right. Ammon, to you. Has mass surveillance gone far beyond stopping terrorism?
Well, I think that depends on the term definition of terrorism, because basically that's anybody who opposes the government is a terrorist. So, but yeah, to answer the question, absolutely. It's gone beyond terrorism. It's gone beyond crime, true crime. But they use that excuse and they just survey everybody in every incident that they want. I think there was this recently, this report about how the new cars are have face identification. And there's, I mean, what are they going to do with that? I mean, they could stop the car, they could, whatever they know, they can know where you're at all the time. And again, it's just not the government's business to be surveying us and to knowing where we're at all the time and what we're doing. That's our business.
I just want to push back on one thing that you said there, that if you're against the government, dude, you were against the government and you're a fucking legend. So that's my take.
Well,
on
they
it.
did call us domestic terrorists.
Well, and basically, since everybody in this room is against the government, you're all terrorists.
Yep.
We're all on a list.
Or heroes and legends. I'm on the other side on this one. So all right. Back to you, Joe. Category is healthcare control. Has healthcare become too controlled by government and corporations?
Absolutely. And this is one of the most frustrating things. Pretty much everywhere. And I like to quote Harry Brown, who said that the government breaks your leg and then expects appreciation when you hand them the crutch. With healthcare, it started back when they had wage and price freeze controls. And so people were trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to hire the best people? We can't pay them more. And they figured out, oh, we can give them perks like healthcare. And we don't buy our companies don't, our employers don't pay for our car insurance. And it seems rather silly that they would. They don't pay for our house insurance. Why should they pay for our health insurance? And it's so embedded in the system that people now think that we have a free market healthcare system when we don't.
Yeah, very true. All right. Chase, to you. Should patients have more direct control over medical decisions?
Absolutely. I'm a free market medicine guy. I don't think that the government should really be getting in between the patient and doctor relationship at all. I think if you're a consenting adult, you should be able to make whatever medical decision you want. I think if you want to live in a free society, you shouldn't live in one where a random bureaucrat determines exactly what kind of healthcare coverage you can get, which is why we have this overregulated insurance market. It's why I support things like direct primary care, where you can get out of the traditional insurance marketplace. Your healthcare is a lot better when you get out of that. It's why I support things like compounding pharmacies that are providing alternatives to big pharma and fighting against the FDA and all their BS regulations. And by the way, if you want to support things, people say they support MAHA, Making America Healthy Again. But what we're seeing right now is an FDA that's controlled by RFKs, HHS, cracking down on these compounding pharmacies, cracking down on direct primary care practices, and then reinforcing the insurance marketplace that we are all suffering from lower and lower quality, higher and higher premiums, and less quality of life for ourselves and our families. So absolutely, people should have far more control over their healthcare, where they get it, the information they have, and far more control over the privacy of their healthcare than what the government affords right now.
Totally agree. All right. Lars, to you. Categories the economy of dependence. Has economic dependency increased political control?
100%. In the 50s, 50% of all Americans worked. And today, only a third of Americans work. And 1/3 of Americans are on some form of government assistance. And when you make the populace dependent on the government for their food and their housing and their health care, they lose autonomy and they lose sovereignty. And we are creating millions and millions of people who are dependent on the state. And that is a dangerous thing because we lose capitalism, we lose productivity, we lose excellence when we are dependent on the state. We should lift all Americans up so that they are no longer dependent on the state, because a free America is a great America.
Absolutely. All right, Ammon, to you. Should communities rely less on federal programs?
Yes, absolutely. We saw that in, for example, the Malheur County or Harney County in Oregon, where the federal government had gone in, taken control of almost all the land there, at least all the productive land. And at one time, that county was reporting the highest family incomes in the state. And after just about 30 years of federal control, they are now consistently reporting the lowest family incomes in the state. And the federal government has literally turned that county into basically like a federal kingdom, where they have federal rulers, and the local government has almost no say on what happens in their land, what happens to their water, what happens to all the grazing. And so absolutely, if you don't have local control, and if you don't have control of your land and your resources, basically become a slave or a subject to the federal government.
Very true. All right, last 4 questions of the night. If you just answer the questions and nobody yells point of order, we all get to go home. So awesome. All right, Joe, to you. Categories endless wars. Have endless wars made America weaker instead of safer?
Of course, what most people don't realize is that anytime we are for one country or trying to give money to them or back them, that means that we've got people on the other side that we are just making more upset at us. So there is no way that you can put money into a war and then have nobody get mad at us. And if you look at the Middle East, that we've gone in, we've broken promises, we've made a lot of promises and then didn't keep them. And so every time we go in there and do something, we just kind of stir up the hornet's nest and get them even madder at us.
Yeah, absolutely true. All right, Chase, to you. You're one of our greatest anti-war voices too, Chase. You don't get nearly enough credit for that. Your question is, has interventionism cost too many lives and resources?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to kind of follow up on what Joe was saying with regards to intervention here. You know, how many of us here in this room do not like foreign intervention into our elections? That's everybody, right? Well, what happens when our nation does foreign intervention overseas, not just with political donations, but with bombs and bullets and drones and force and killing people? That's what our interventions are. So as pissed as we are about our politics and our lives being interrupted by foreign interference, what happens when our force gets interfering all over the world by violence and killing people? This is costing our nation too much. It's costing the world too much, and it's making us hate each other and making a lot more people hate us Americans. And it's not anything we're doing, it's what our government is doing. So these interventions are making each and every one of our lives less safe. It's making each and every one of our kids' lives less safe. Why? Because everybody wants to punch back against a bully. And that's what we've been for my entire adult life around the world, is the world's bully. And it's time we stop it, because we don't. One day, the blowback is going to hit us like the great Ron Paul said in 2012, and we're still waiting for that day really to hit us. And when it does, we'll rue the day that we ever sat there and invaded all over the world and decided to use our force, our bombs, our drones to kill so many innocent people for the purposes of increasing the influence of the United States government.
Amen.
I love when Chase gets that fired up. That's awesome. So appreciate you, man. All right, Lars, to you. Category is borders and national identity. Has immigration become too politically manipulated by both parties?
I want to go back to the war thing for a second, because the best way to stop America from being imperialistic and bombing the hell out of kids in far-off lands is to abolish the IRS and end the Federal Reserve. If we starve them of the money, they can't use it to drop bombs on kids in far-off lands ever again. Immigration. What was the immigration question?
You do you, man. You do whatever you want.
Well,
all right. So the immigration question, I got you. The immigration question was, has immigration become too politically manipulated by both parties?
So it's interesting, you know, the Republicans have been bitching about immigration for the last, 10 years or so. They're in office. They have control of Congress. Where's their big law that they were going to pass? They literally have done nothing, right? Everything that they have done since they've been elected can be erased with the next executive order. And the Democrats are exactly the same, because they did the same thing with healthcare. They don't want to fix the problems. The duopoly does not want to fix the problems. And the reason they don't want to fix the problems is this is how they fundraise off of donors. And if they fix the problems, they can no longer spread fear and dig into your pockets and steal money from you to continuously say they're going to fix problems that they will never, ever fix.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Last question of the night to you, Ammon. Has government used division to keep people politically controlled?
Okay. I have a story to tell you.
Dude, you do you.
So,
all three of them were cooking. You do whatever you want.
all right. I'm just going to tell you a story, then I'll end. That'll answer the question. So I spent 2 years in federal prison. And the entire time I was in there, we were guarded by one person, usually a young person, and sometimes even a woman, a young woman. At any time, we could have walked out of that prison. But the way they keep us in there, so they don't have to spend a lot of money guarding us, is they divide us by race. They have the Mexican car, the black car, the white car, and the Native American car. And they make sure that they're all fighting amongst each other. And as long as we're fighting amongst each other, they don't have to worry about us uniting and walking outside that jail. And so I learned that prison was like a petri dish for me. I learned a lot of lessons there. But that's the way it is in America. If we would ever unite, there's nothing they could do to restrict our freedom.
Woo. Yeah. Nice. That's funny, because in Chicago, where I'm from, when somebody went to jail, people would say he went to college. So that's
Yeah.
funny.
Spend a
So,
little time in the university.
yeah, true.
Do you mind if I add something to what you just said
Go
about
for it.
jail in Chicago? And I grew up north of Chicago. The Cook County Jail in Chicago has the largest group of mentally ill people in the entire country. It's not
After
a
Congress,
mental
probably.
hospital.
After Congress. Yeah. All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Tell us what you thought of tonight. Tell us who you thought won. Tell us whatever you want. Excellent. All right. Let's check out the chat one last time here. Wow, it is flying again. Here we go. Is Charlie Belay here? Charlie Belay gave me points for the slick, sparkling smoking jacket. Appreciate that. Avon's game points to Joe for the great blazer. Red really her color. Points to Chase. Microdoses is still a hero's journey. Points to Chase for being in his mirror universe era. Trekkies will know. I have no idea what you're talking about there. Points to Chase. XL sucks. Points to Joe for barriers. Points to Chase. I'm priced out. Points to Chase because inflation's just another form of theft. Points to Chase for understanding the generational cliffs the government is throwing people from. Points to Joe for housing reform. Points to Lars for flock off. I knew that was coming. Points to Lars for the government needs to flock off. Points to Chase for bringing up affordability. Points to Chase so he can catch up to the white rabbit. Points to Lars for calling out the constant surveillance. Avon says the winner gets some free Zoom. Here we go. We got it like right here. Right here. All right. And points to Ammon dropping truth bombs on Spygate. Actually, they all get free Zoom at the end because I'm a millennial and they deserve participation trophies. That's fair. That's fair. Don'tGetFlock.com has a constantly upgraded map to avoid them, or if a certain hard up crackhead wants to get 53 grams of silver and 20 grams of gold. That's good advice, Travis. Points to me for calling Ammon a fucking legend. Yeah, fucking legend. I stand by that comment. Points to Bundy. My Toyota told me I had spinach in my teeth the other day. Points to Lars for reminding me I'm on a list. Winner gets some Plur too. That's pretty sweet, Avin.
Even better.
Yeah, really good. Points to Joe. I like to quote Harry Brown. Same. Points to Joe for that. Points to Chase for looking chill as fuck. That's my boy Chase. That's how he is. Points to Joe for the polar plunge at LPNC. That was cold as hell, but we had a lot of fun. That was really cold. That was really cold. Vitko's here. What's up, buddy? Check out his podcast. Points to all. Thanks for fighting for liberty. Points to Joe for realizing that corporations can be government too. That's from Subversive Pod. Thanks for being here. Points to Chase for removing government from healthcare. Points to Lars for knowing how many Americans worked in the 50s. Yeah, that was a weird stat, man. That was a weird one. I learned something, but it was a weird stat. Like back when there were black and white TVs. No, all right. Points to Joe for not wearing jeans. That worked out for you. Points to Lars for people are forced to be dependent on the state. Points to Lars, the dependency epidemic is a huge problem. Points to Joe for frustrating the journalists with the correct libertarian answer. She's done that a lot. She's really good at that. Points for story time with Ammon. That's your next podcast.
Yeah, that's the name of your next
podcast. Points to Joe for speaking common sense on housing. Points to Lars for lifting people up. You may need to see a chiropractor. Points to Lars, Kickstarter, all charities, or just tithe. Minus 100 free for mentioning point of order. That's fair. Well, dilatory, but also that's fair. Points to Joe for shaking bat nests instead of hornet nests. Points to Joe because Chase dropped her name. She's a legend. She's also a legend. 4 legends, just by the way, because I get really good guests, by the way. The best. Yeah,
you have the best guests.
I get the best guests. They all love me.
Tremendous.
They all love me. Yeah. Points to Chase. War sucks. Yeah, that's the best Chase right there. Points to Joe and Chase because fuck war. Points to Chase and foreign intervention. Points to Chase for standing up to bullies. Points to everyone for a great show. Points to Chase for calling out our government for what it is, the world's bully. Points to Chase. Points to Lars for abolishing the IRS. Points to Chase. Fiery Chase is one of our best speakers, period. That is an absolutely true story. Absolutely.
Take less
story.
Zoom.
Points to Lars for ending the Fed. It's about time somebody said it. Yeah, we haven't heard it at all. Yeah. Points to Lars. Government will never fix problems. Points to Ammon for telling a story. Points for serving 2 years for us. Yeah, 100%. Points to Lars. Hiring the government to fix someone. To fix something that has really bad Yelp reviews. That was good. Great job. Yeah, thanks, TJ. Great to see this live. Points to me. And points to Joe for not wanting jails to be mental institutions. That's a good comment to end it on right there. Let's check the final scoreboard. And I don't know how to hit the buttons on here, and Casey's yelling at me from somewhere. It should be a drum roll or something, but here we go. Lars with the win, 78-50, beating Ammon by just 25 points. And it was so close. Joe and then Chase. Chase, I think this is the first time you haven't won when you were on.
Had to end sometime, man. It had to end sometime. But it was the closest I think we've ever seen on the show, I think. That's pretty damn close.
Really close. Yeah.
There you go.
Chase, what'd you think? And plug what you're doing.
Hey, I think I had a great time. I'm having a great time here at the Libertarian National Convention. And what am I doing right now? Not running for anything. And I'm enjoying kind of getting a live stream thing together and just being active on X. And, of course, just living my life as a free individual and basically being the Zoom spokesperson for this episode.
Yeah, exactly. You're always selling some sort of thing when you're on. Last time it was whiskey, and yeah. So, all right, but you can follow Chase on X. He is at Chase for Liberty. Check out his podcast. I'm a huge fan of Chase, and I say it all the time, but I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for doing this. You're always awesome. And Joe, your first time on the show, you came in third. What'd you think?
It was fun. Can I comment on the jacket? Comment?
You can say whatever you want. You have carte
Somebody
blanche.
liked my jacket. If you look me up on Wikipedia, this is the jacket I wore for my official campaign picture. So it's the picture of, so very good taste.
Awesome. And talk about your book and everything else you're doing.
Yes.
Buy her book.
I wrote a book, Let Me Speak. It was based on the movement that was created outside of the campaign, Let Her Speak, because I wasn't allowed into the debates. And it's part autobiography, part psychology, and part politics. And it wasn't my idea to write it. I was asked to write it for a project. So
Awesome. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of yours and have fanboyed every time I've seen you. So I love having you on the show. And check out Joe on X. She is at Joe for Liberty.
there's the jacket.
And check out her book and check out the jacket live and in person. Get the book autographed. Give her money. That would be cool of you. Thanks for doing this, Joe. Appreciate you so much. And Ammon, first time on the show, came in second place. What'd you think?
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for putting it together. Just thank you.
Yeah. Tell everybody what you're up to.
I'm just living free. I don't comply. I don't comply to anything. I live free how I want to live, and they can do whatever the hell they want with me. But I'm going to live free.
Love it.
All right.
All right. And you can check out Ammon on X, Real Ammon Bundy. His website is peoplesrights.gs. Check out his YouTube and check out his podcast. Appreciate having you on here, dude. You're a hero, and this is a huge honor for me. So thank you. And another guy that never loses, the great Lars Mapstead. What'd you think, buddy?
You know, I just think these people are amazing. And this was I think the fifth time I've been on this. This was by far the hardest one because the answers everybody gave was so incredible. And I'm just sitting up here thinking, like, I want to emulate this guy. I want to emulate this guy. And I want to emulate Joe. When I grow up, I want to be these people, right? Yeah, because we have to be bold with our messaging. We have to get out there and let people know that they can be free of the state. They can be free to live their lives as they choose without government telling them what to do. We don't need a nanny state. And I think my message is go out and be bold for freedom and liberty. We need that. We need that to be important because there's not enough voices in America talking about this. And it's the people in this room, it's your job to go out and let people know that there's a different way to live. And we are the only ones that can do it because everybody else is so propagandized that they can't see the true, real freedom that is available to us as long as the state is just suppressing us. So thank you for putting this on. I think the messaging is great. It lets people understand that they can be free, but they have to choose it. Because if they don't choose it and they don't act forward for freedom, it's going to be taken away from all of us.
Yeah, no, totally appreciate having you on. And no, your goal was better than my goal because my goal was like, maybe I should do a game show where I could get these people to talk to me for an hour and 15 minutes. So no, but this has been a huge thrill. And you can check out Lars on X. He is Libertarian Lars. Check out the websites, votingrights.com, ballots without barriers. And if you're in California's 19th district, make sure you vote for Lars. I'm a huge fan of his. He's such a great guy. I basically had to politic to get him here tonight. So this was huge for me. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of all four of you. This is such a thrill for me. This was absolutely awesome. I appreciate you guys for doing this. I appreciate the party for putting this on and trusting us to do a show tonight. And thanks again to the Libertarian Party for doing this. Go to lp.org. Become one of us. We're cool. We have nice jackets. We have great stuff. It's and we have a great time when we're together. So and then one last time, just want to say thank you again to Xano for sponsoring tonight's show. Your privacy matters. Choose Xano, the leading blockchain platform that prioritizes confidentiality and security. They're right out there. And if you're new to the space, check out intro.xano.org. And thank you again to the lovely Avens O'Brien, zoomtrip.com, xumtrip.com. Thank you again to all of our subscribers that make our travel and our hosting costs and all of that. They do a great job. We appreciate the support. You can subscribe to us on X. And if you want to sponsor the show, studio@freedomuncut.com. We will be at Freedom Fest in July. We will also be at Midwest Peace and Liberty Festival in August. Come see us there. And you can get our shirts on freedomsuperstore.com. We also have mugs. Appreciate you all. Thank you again to Terry Batts, who's doing all the producing behind the scenes. Thanks to Amity. Thanks to Casey. And thanks for showing up live. And everybody that's in the chat, we appreciate you so much. We had a great time and hope to have a great rest of the weekend. And if you're not here, you should be. So see you all soon. Peace.